Let's talk about your book. Your book is full of some very interesting real life examples, the work that you have done for your clients. Can you please tell us any two B2B and B2C campaign examples in detail?
Sure, sure. So we did some work for one client. It was a financial services client. And this is a B2B example. And I think the question they were trying to answer is, how do you get someone to re-engage with us after they've stopped, right? Someone stopped doing business with me. How do I get them to re-engage? And this was a B2B example. It was a financial services firm. And there were some financial advisors that used to sell this firm's products, and then they stopped selling them. And Shelley, they stopped selling them a year ago. So it wasn't like they stopped last month, or even a couple of months ago, and we might say, oh, well, maybe business was down, or maybe they were on vacation. This was 12 months or more over a year ago, they had stopped. So we can reasonably assume that they don't want to sell our products anymore. They've either found other products that they like better, or they found maybe that, they were harder to sell, but they had a pretty good reason because it was over a year ago that they sold anything. And our client came to us and said, we want to re-engage these financial advisors. So I said, all right, we're going to use the reciprocity principle. And what we did is we sent these financial advisors an email, and we said, watch your mail because we've got a gift that we put out especially for you. And then a little while later, in the mail arrives this box. And in the box was a framed New Yorker cartoon. And it was some amusing little cartoon about some young kid going around his neighborhood trying to sell retirement services, or something that was relatable if you were a financial advisor. And in the caption of the cartoon was the individual financial advisor's name. So Shelley, yours would have your name in it, mine would have my name in it, and it was framed, and it was just screaming out to be hung on the financial advisor's office wall, right? I mean, how cool is that? It's a New Yorker cartoon. It's got my name in it. It's already framed. And then there was a note from the wholesaler of our client company saying, hey, we've been trying to get hold of you, for quite some time now. We'd love to talk to you. Just find out what's going on, touch base. Please give us a call. And then, of course, they sat back and they waited for a while for people to call, but then they also followed up via email and via phone call. And so what the company was using, what we were using on their behalf, was something called the reciprocity principle, right? Basically, if somebody does something for you, you feel obliged to return the favor. So if you give me something, whether or not I even asked for it, if you give me something, now I feel like I owe you something. It's one of those hardwired human behaviors that, at one time kind of helped keep us alive. Like way back in the days of our early ancestors, if we didn't cooperate, if we weren't civil to each other, it would have been bad news, right? We needed to depend on each other to survive, to make it through the day, to go from generation to generation. So it's kind of ingrained in us to be cooperative. And this whole idea of reciprocity, if you do something for me, I in turn will do something for you. And if I don't, I feel like I owe you, like I really want to even the score. I'm looking for opportunities to even the score. So they sent this gift. It wasn't asked for, but now all of a sudden these financial advisors have it. So what ended up happening was the client traced back this promotion as delivering 68 million in incremental revenue, because all of a sudden they were able to engage with financial advisors that had gone silent over a year ago, that had stopped returning calls, or stopped returning emails, stopped selling the product, most importantly, but it absolutely re-engaged them. So this idea of give to get, be the first one to give, because it puts you in a much better position to receive. So, somebody might say, why would a company spend money sending gifts to people who stopped doing business with them? Shouldn't they spend that money on the people that are doing business to reinforce the positive behavior? But this was a great example of the reciprocity principle, and how humans are hardwired, and what it takes maybe to break through and to get someone to finally say, I better return to the fold. I better start doing business with them again. So I think that was one good example for a B2B. And then if you're up for another one, maybe a B2C example.
Sure.
So this is a company that was trying to encourage people to save more for retirement. And, the thing about saving for retirement is we always think we have plenty of time down the road to do it, right? It's like if I have $100 in my hands right now, I'd much rather go out to dinner and a show than I would, put it in the bank and save it for 20, 30, years down the road. That's just how people are hardwired, right? And so this particular company really wanted to encourage them to save more in their workplace retirement account, their 401k program, for example. And so they tried a few different things. They tested the idea of social proof, and they put out a message that said, here's why so many people save in their work retirement account. And, and that did pretty well. And then they also tested the idea of scarcity. And the idea of scarcity is we place greater value on things that are scarce. So if there are limited times or limited opportunities or limited quantities, we value those things more. If it's something is easy to get, we're like, yeah, whatever, maybe I'll take it, maybe I won't. But if there's only a few, like I have to grab that, I want mine before they're gone. And the same thing applies to information. If information is perceived as not being widely available, something that not everybody knows, we have a tendency to believe it more. We have a tendency to be persuaded by it more. So we tried another approach that said, here are some money-saving secrets that you may not be aware of. Here's the secret to having more money in retirement. And that did pretty well. But we tested one final thing, and that was using loss aversion. And this was the thing that did the best of all. And the idea of loss aversion is that people are actually twice as motivated to avoid the pain of loss as they are to achieve the pleasure of gain. And of course, in marketing, what do? We double down on the gains. We are all about, the benefits, the gains, the advantages, the wonderful things that will happen if you just do what I'm asking you to do. Just respond to my email, just respond to my digital ad, right? It'd be wonderful for us.
I know.
And we know that benefits work, right? I'm not saying we should walk away from them, but a little well-placed loss aversion can go a long way. So the essence of this particular message was, do you make these money mistakes? And that did the best in terms of getting people to open the email and engage with it. All three of the approaches did well, but the one that got the most opens was this idea of loss aversion. So it really kind of moved the needle in terms of getting people to behave in the way that the client wanted them to, and just kind of overcoming that idea of, I have plenty of time, I can save more later. Right now, I'm going to go out to dinner and a show. It really moved the needle. Got them to open, got them to take the desired behavior. So that was a good example, I think, of using loss aversion.